It begins with a subtle shift, a moment here, a thought there, a realization that what once came easily now takes effort. A step feels heavier, a sentence disappears from memory. And for many, the instinct is to blame the years, to say it's just age. But the truth is often quieter than that. It's not always age. It's the body asking for help. It's the body whispering that something essential is missing, something that once flowed freely, but now barely flickers energy, vitality, performance. That inner fire. He remembered waking up at dawn, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. He used to greet the sun with a stretch, a deep breath, and the kind of focus that made a day feel like a masterpiece. But lately, even getting out of bed felt like a task. Coffee helped, but only for an hour. And naps were becoming less about rest and more about recovery. So he did what many never think to do. He asked questions, not just to doctors, but to himself. Why now? Why this slowdown? Why this fog that made thoughts float rather than form? Why this aching tiredness that sleep didn't fix? Answers didn't come all at once. They came slowly, in fragments like puzzle pieces scattered across decades. Clues hidden in blood work, patterns in how he felt after certain meals, words from other men his age, research, experience, and finally, the understanding that the body wasn't failing, it was fading from lack of fuel. Not the kind you eat, but the kind that powers every heartbeat, every breath, every word and walk and idea. The microscopic fuel, the invisible spark, vitamins that don't just keep you alive, but allow you to feel alive. There was a time he laughed at the idea of supplements. Just eat well, he used to say, but he was eating well, or so he thought, until he realized that even the best food wasn't giving him what his body used to produce naturally. It wasn't about eating more. It was about absorbing less. That, when he looked deeper, the body, past a certain age, doesn't just age, it transforms. Systems that once thrived start to flicker. Absorption slows. Digestion weakens. The body becomes a little less efficient, a little more delicate. What it used to get from food, now it struggles to hold on to. And what once felt like overkill, a vitamin, now felt like survival. He started with just one, a small pill. He didn't expect much, but 2 weeks in, he noticed something unusual. He woke up without groaning. It was subtle, but real. He could remember more details. His hands didn't tingle at night. The fog that clung to his thoughts began to lift like early morning mist. He smiled more, talked longer, walked farther. This wasn't magic. It was support, the kind his body had been asking for. But it wasn't just about adding things. It was about understanding them, knowing the why behind the what. Each supplement had a reason. Each one addressed a different part of the engine. And once those gears started turning again, the change was hard to ignore. Mornings became moments of opportunity again. There was clarity, drive. He stopped feeling like he was surviving the day and started feeling like he was building something. Again, even if it was just a walk, a call, or a thought worth remembering. Energy is not about youth. It's about function. And function can be restored. It can be protected, even reignited, but only if we listen, not to ads or trends, but to the body. The quiet language, it speaks through fatigue, through forgetfulness, through that nagging sense that something just isn't right. He became his own detective, not obsessively, but curiously. He read, he listened, he adjusted, and slowly he crafted a new foundation, not just for health, but for life itself. One built on understanding that aging isn't the end of energy. It's just a shift in how it must be supported. He noticed something else too, a deeper change. He wasn't just feeling better. He was becoming more himself, more present, more engaged. When he spoke, his words had more weight. When he moved, his steps had more intention. When he rested, it felt earned, escaped. And with that came something unexpected. Confidence, the kind that doesn't come from appearance or strength, but from knowing that you are taking care of yourself in a way no one else can. Not as a reaction to fear, but as a decision for freedom. He didn't chase youth. He embraced clarity. And that made all the difference. Because sometimes the path to feeling young again isn't about turning back time. It's about feeding the time you have left with the right kind of care. The kind that listens to what your body stopped saying years ago. The kind that starts with a question. What if this tiredness isn't normal? What if it's just a signal, a message, a request? And what if the answer has been within reach all along? Not in a bottle alone, but in the awareness that you still matter enough to feel good again. Asterisk. That realization that hope is the first and most important step. It's not too late. You are not too far gone. Asterisk. And your best days might not be behind you. They might be just ahead, ready to meet you. One small step, one better choice, one deeper breath. That's all it takes to begin again. Asterisk, and you can start right now. There are days when it all feels like a blur. When your body moves, but your mind feels left behind. You go through the motions sit, talk, sleep, but something's missing. Something you can't quite name. It didn't used to be this way. There was a time when mornings felt like a new page one you couldn't wait to write on. Your thoughts were sharp, your step was light, and your energy felt endless. But now the pages feel heavier. And even before the day begins, you're already counting the hours until it's over. And so you pause. You look at yourself in the mirror, not for vanity, but for clarity. Who is this version of you? The one who forgets names, misplaces glasses, loses focus mid-sentence. The one who once had a fire, now reduced to flickers of memory. Begin to ask questions, the kind that matter. What changed? When did the energy start slipping away? Was it sudden, or was it a slow unraveling? So subtle you never saw it coming. It's tempting to blame age, that invisible wall that seems to rise with every passing year. But deep down you know it's not about the number. It's about the fuel. The invisible foundations your body once built on autopilot. Foundations that now need help. You think of your father, how he slowed down, how you thought it was normal, expected, inevitable. But what if it wasn't? What if his body, like yours now, was simply starved of the very elements that gave it life? So you go deeper. You start reading labels, watching documentaries, listening to stories. You discover that the body, past a certain point, isn't failing its asking. Not loudly, but consistently. Through symptoms, through signs, through that whisper that something feels off. And one by one, the pieces fall into place. You see that it's not about chasing youth. It's about supporting function. Rebuilding what time has eroded. Not through shortcuts or false promises, but with truth, with nourishment, with wisdom. You learn that energy isn't just about rest. It's about what happens between sleep and wake. The chemical symphony playing inside your cells. The tiny engines called mitochondria that keep everything running. Engines that need their own kind of fuel. And just like that, you feel less lost. You start with the basics. Small choices. A glass of water before coffee. A short walk after lunch. A quiet moment in the sun. You notice the changes. Not dramatic, but real. Less brain fog, more steadiness, a return of curiosity, the kind that reminds you that life isn't just about getting through, it's about engaging. Asterisk, you laugh again. Asterisk, not because everything's perfect, but because you can feel the shift, the reawakening, the return of something you thought was gone, and now you carry that feeling with care. You protect it, nurture it. You learn to say no to things that drain you. You say yes to those that build you. You stop apologizing for needing rest. You stop hiding your effort. You begin to understand that true strength isn't about how much you push, it's about how well you preserve. There's a strange kind of beauty in this season of life. The clarity of knowing what matters, the power of simple routines, the joy of slow mornings, of deep conversations, of being able to sit still without guilt, to laugh at your younger self, to forgive your mistakes, to celebrate that you're still here and you still care. This isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about honoring what remains and building from there. You realize that your body is not your enemy. It's your partner. It's carried you through decades of laughter, loss, growth, and grace. And now it's asking for your attention, not your frustration, not your fear, just your support. So you listen, you nourish. And the result isn't just more years. It's better days, clearer thoughts, deeper presence. You start doing things, not because you should, but because you can. You find strength in quiet places. You rediscover the dignity in simplicity, and somewhere along the way, you remember that feeling good doesn't have to be rare. It can be your new normal, not every day, but many days. Enough days to make the rest feel worthwhile, and that is everything. Because in the end, it's not about looking younger. It's about living wiser and knowing that the spark hasn't left you. It's just waiting to be fed. Asterisk. So feed it. You're not too late. You're right on time.